Ich habe mir schon länger Gedanken gemacht, etwas mit Indien zu machen, und Deutschland war sehr zurückhaltend, als es den großen Boom gab an Ausstellungen zu Indien zwischen 2002 und 2012. Und dann bin ich 2016 nach Indien gereist, allein als Frau. Und man kann sich als Europäerin eben der Situation der Frauen dort nicht entziehen. Man wird sich dessen bewusst, man stellt sich bestimmte Fragen, und aus emotionalen Fragestellungen wurden kunstwissenschaftliche, und so habe ich angefangen, Künstlerinnen zu besuchen und habe festgestellt, dass sie eine starke politische Meinung haben, wenn es um Fragen geht, wie schauen sie auf ihr eigenes Land, wie gehen sie mit sozialer Verantwortung um, wie politisch ist ihre Kunst, also dass sie sich in ihrer Kunst politisch äußern. Ja, und so ist die Idee entstanden, 6 Künstlerinnen in einer Ausstellung zu vereinen.
Das Kunstmuseum Wolfsburg hat sich seit meinem Amtsantritt auf die Fahnen geschrieben, globaler, weiblicher und politischer zu werden. Und diese Ausstellung Facing India löst es auf eine ganz besondere Art und Weise ein, denn wir machen hier ein Stück weit zumindest die Tür auf indische Lebenswelt, und zwar durch Kunst. Und im Durchschlendern durch diesen großartigen Raum, diesen Echoraum Indiens, erfahren Sie über Umwelt, Digitalisierung, Körper, Sexualität und viele, viele andere Themen mehr wirklich einen eigenen Spiegel, der eben tatsächlich auch etwas zurückwirft auf unsere Gesellschaft. Denn die Probleme, die hier zu sehen sind, ob sie eben wirklich Umwelt, Geschlechterfragen oder Digitalisierung behandeln, sind eben genau auch unsere.
Das verbindende Element zwischen den Künstlerinnen ist das Thema Grenzen. Grenzen in territorialer Hinsicht, Grenzkonflikte, Grenzfragen, politische Grenzen, ökologische Grenzen, aber eben auch Gendergrenzen und Grenzen hinsichtlich der Frauenrolle.
So what you have here are 6 women who I met in the year 2012. They're all over 40, and they are from the largest red light area in Asia called Sonigachi in Calcutta. And I think for me, this work became a piece about ethics, about the body, about the aging female body, about the idea of me as a woman then buying the body of another woman, what that meant. It sort of became this Pandora's box of questions about the role of art and the making of sculpture and the procedure of how I've made my own works. And I think it's I think with this work there's many questions, but I'm not specifically sure if I'll ever be able to make all the answers for myself.
Woven Chronicle is a cartographic project. It's a wall drawing essentially made using the line, a line that is a potent form that carries immense meaning when drawn between territories, and how the line really decides the fate of citizens on either side. I mean, in a moment where we are sort of blurring these lines through trade, technology, and commerce, there is a strong prevalence of national borders or re-emergence of these amidst us today. And I think the work is really an investigation into what this line really means and how it's loaded with meaning. So I make this piece using the electric cable that is, of course, treated like yarn, but essentially wires are meant to be transmitters of energy in exchange as communication cable, and here they sort of morph into barbed wires and fences holding these inherent contradictions of being both a conduit, carrier, and a barrier at the same time. It's essentially seeing a map as a dynamic entity through the movement of travelers, labor, migrants, and what these intersections mean, and pulsating with energy.
Well, I think the kitchen in the Indian context has very complex kind of connotations. It is a space which is a spiritual space. It's a space considered to be pretty spiritual. A lot of families in India, and especially the higher caste Hindus, would in a way make sure that the lower caste person from a lower caste is not allowed to enter into a kitchen. Also, women, if they're kind of menstruate, are not allowed to enter kitchens. The kitchen is considered a very pious place. And I somehow thought that the site of the refrigerator was a site that could stage various conversations. And this kind of condensed space, which is almost like a capsule space trying to extend the life of something, felt like a transient space. I could almost imagine a non-space in this kind of a very artificial environment. I think my fascination towards film reflects into these images somehow. Also the way they are presented, they're quite cinematic in the sense that the size and the dimensions of these photographs is very cinematic. They could be sets, like science fiction sets for any science fiction film, but I think it is because of my fascination towards films like of artists like Tarkovsky and people like that. So I think it's a reflection of all those things that one is enriched with.
I migrated to Delhi in 2005, and once I came here, the natural bent towards the environmental issues or the city planning was in me, and then there were a lot of other researchers, scientists who were working on the issue. So I started working on I started looking at the city as a migrant also, and I started looking at the new boom of the money. It happened in 2005 when the Commonwealth Games were being announced in India. So during that time, the city was flourishing, so-called flourishing, with a lot of construction. So you see only the construction material all around in the city. So that's how camouflage was kind of, I wanted to augment that in my mind, so this is an augmented situation of the urban planning, because it's very unplanned. I researched about the environment and I researched about the air in Delhi. So there was this statement came about in Nostradamus' prediction. So where he's stating that by 2013 people will go pig mouth. So I was like, that triggered me, so I said, okay, let's do with the mask, because that looks like a pig mouth or a very hybrid form of a human if you wear a mask. So that's how I think I came about that series, and I wanted to do that series with my friends, staging the mundane activity of day-to-day living.
Like the phantom pain means like the pain with a memory or a memory of a pain. So it doesn't really exist in your body anymore, but it gives you or reminds you of some kind of pain you had it in past. And in a very personal way, I don't always completely associate teeth with that kind of physical violence and pain, but it can be also a very simple experience, a personal experience of my own life, like how the teeth are, teeth, tongue, and mouth. They're also associated with with the producing your words, your sounds, your language. And I think when I was very much like a Bengali speaking person. My mother is a poet, and when I migrated to Delhi, where I had to confront in a humiliating way about my inability and insufficiency of expressing myself in English or Hindi, because as a colonial country, we still borrow the hierarchy of some languages, mainly English. And for me, when I started like around 2000, 2001, using teeth, or blood or human hair was just taking a fragmented part of a fundamental human body part. It was not just, you cannot define or separate any kind of gender or race or sex or even the skin color.
Tejal Shah ist sicherlich eine Künstlerin, die sehr direkt arbeitet in ihrer Bildsprache. Unter anderem hat sie zum Beispiel ein Archiv von Porträts angelegt. Das ist eine andauernde Arbeit, die sie immer noch weiter fortführt. Und da porträtiert sie eben nicht regelkonforme Frauentypen, kann man sagen, im Sinne von tradierten Frauenrollen in Indien, sondern zum Beispiel maskuline Frauentypen. Und das ist überhaupt der Grundansatz von Tejal Shah, die Auflösung dieses binären Gender-Konstrukts, kann man sagen, Mann, Frau. Sie stellt die Frage, was sind wir eigentlich alle unter unseren Labels und Etiketten? Tejal Shah hat eine queer-feministische Position. Dazu muss man wissen, dass Homosexualität bis heute gesetzlich verboten ist in Indien. Und sie hat eine sehr direkte und laute Bildsprache entwickelt, in der sie Sexualität öffentlich performen lässt, kann man sagen. Und die Radikalität dieser Bildsprache muss man in Relation sehen zu dem Land der Extreme, in dem sie diesen Schritt geht.